Okay, picture this. It's, I don't know, Tuesday afternoon. You have maybe a 30-minute window, a meeting ran late, and you've got another call you know is going to be a slog.
Yep. I know that window.
And you just need to do one pretty simple thing with your credit union. You can maybe check on a wire transfer, or you saw a weird duplicate charge, and you just want to make sure your card is okay.
The classic, I just need a quick answer moment.
Exactly that. So you dial the number, and then it starts. You get the robot voice. Press 1 for hours and locations. You finally navigate that maze to get to a person, and then the music starts.
Oh, the whole music.
The smooth jazz of purgatory, that like high-pitched, slightly distorted saxophone just looping and looping, and you wait. You check your watch. You wait some more, and finally, a human. You're saved.
But you're not saved, are you?
Not even close. Because the first thing they ask is for your account number, which you just typed in. Then your mother's maiden name. Then they ask you to hold again while their system loads. You can hear them clicking away, click, 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 and sighing. You're frustrated, they sound stressed, and your 30-minute break.
Gone.
It's gone. You hang up, nothing is resolved, and your blood pressure is, through the roof.
It is a friction we are all painfully familiar with. It really feels like the system is actively working against everyone, the customer and the employee.
Right. And that is what we are digging into today. We are going to unpack exactly why that happens. We're doing a deep dive into the machinery behind the scenes of your credit union or bank. Specifically, we're looking at why so much of banking feels, I don't know, stuck in the mid-2000s, and how a specific type of technology is trying to drag it, kicking and screaming, into the present.
And we're basing this discussion on a really interesting piece of analysis. It's a speech actually titled Modernizing Credit Union Service with Access Connect.
And before we get into the nuts and bolts of the tech stack, I do want to mention that this specific deep dive is brought to you by Access Softtech. They are a major player in this space, the premier provider of digital banking solutions. And they are the ones actually building the stuff we're going to be talking about.
Which is helpful because they have a front row seat to the problem. They see exactly where the pipes are leaking in these legacy systems.
So here's our mission for today. If you're a learner who has ever just thought, why can't my bank just work like my rideshare app? This deep dive is for you. We are going to unbox the why behind the clunkiness, and it is way more complicated than just bad service. And then we'll look at the how of the solution.
And I'll warn you, the why is a little more structural and maybe a little more alarming than you might expect.
Alarming is a strong word. Okay, let's get into it. The source material drops this fact right at the beginning that, honestly, it made me do a double take. It says that many financial institutions are relying on call center software. That is, and I'm quoting here, over a decade old.
In technology years, that is. That's ancient. That is geological time. I mean, think about your phone 10 or 12 years ago.
I mean, I had a phone, but I definitely wasn't depositing checks with it. I was barely streaming video reliably.
Exactly. And yet, the backbone of customer service for so many credit unions is still living in that era. But here's the key thing. It's not just that the software is old. It's about how it exists. The source uses 3 very specific words to describe this decade-old tech, and I think we need to break them down. The words are on-premise, rigid, and hard to evolve.
Okay, let's start with on-premise. To me, that just sounds like it's in the building.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why is that a bad thing? I mean, if I own my house, I have control. If I rent, I'm at the mercy of my landlord. Isn't owning the servers better?
That's the traditional thinking, yes. But apply that logic to tech. On-premise means the software is running on physical metal servers that the credit union bought, installed, and, keeps in a server room somewhere.
So it's like, imagine you own a DVD collection. You have all the physical discs. That's great. But what happens when a new movie comes out?
I have to go buy it.
You have to go buy it. What if the player breaks? You have to fix it. What if you want to watch that movie in another room, but the player is, bolted to the floor?
I see where you're going. It's heavy.
It's incredibly heavy. It has gravity. It anchors you. And the maintenance cost is just astronomical. You need a dedicated IT team just to keep the lights on, manage the cooling, handle physical security, and the biggest issue, updates.
Right, because an app on my phone, it updates while I sleep.
With an on-premise system, an update is an event. It's a whole project. You might have to shut down the system at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, manually install patches, and just pray that the new code doesn't break some customization you did 5 years ago.
Which leads right into that second word you mentioned, rigid.
Exactly. These systems are often hard-coded. Because they're so difficult to update, they become fragile. You can't just, tweak them.
Give me a real example. What's something a credit union would want to tweak that they can't?
Okay, let's say there's a sudden wave of fraud, a specific phishing scam targeting your members. You want to immediately put a message at the very top of your phone menu saying, "Warning, we will never ask for your PIN via text."
Seems simple enough.
In a modern system, that takes 5 minutes. In a rigid on-premise system, that might mean submitting an IT ticket. Then someone has to recode the IVR flow, test it to make sure it doesn't break everything else. That could take days, maybe weeks. By then, the scam is over and your members have lost money.
So rigid isn't just an annoyance, it's actually a risk to the members.
Precisely. And that leads right to hard to evolve. These places, they get trapped in amber. They can't integrate new tools because their foundation is just too brittle.
This brings up the integration issue. The source material talks about how these old systems don't talk to the core. What is the core?
The core is, think of it as the brain of the bank. It's the massive central ledger that knows exactly how much money you have, what loans you owe, what your address is, everything else. The mobile app, the ATM, the call center software, it all needs to talk to the core to get answers.
Okay, so the core is the brain.
Right. But in these decade-old systems, the connection between the call center software and that brain is often, well, it's terrible. They might be speaking different coding languages.
They're siloed.
Completely siloed. And this is why you have to repeat your account number. You punch it into the phone system, but that phone system can't pass the data to the agent's screen because the pipe between them just doesn't exist.
That is infuriating.
It is. And the source really points out the human cost here, which I think is so important. It hits two groups of people, the staff and the members.
Let's talk about the staff. I feel like we always blame the person on the phone, but the source says this tech actually slows your staff down.
Imagine being that agent. You have a member on the line who is already annoyed. You want to help, but your screen is frozen. Or you have to open 3 different programs, one for the checking account, one for the credit card, and one to see notes from the last call.
The dreaded swivel chair integration.
Exactly. You are physically swiveling your chair to be the bridge between systems that won't talk to each other. It creates cognitive overload. You can't focus on the human on the phone because you're busy fighting your own computer.
And I'm guessing this is where the sticky notes come in. I always picture desks just covered in sticky notes with cheat codes on how to get around system errors.
100%. If you see error 404, press F5, then jump on one foot. It's just a hacky way to work.
And all of that directly impacts the second group, the members. The source says it frustrates your members.
Because the member can hear the struggle, they hear the long silences, they hear the, "I'm sorry, my system is just loading." We're used to Amazon speed. We're used to Netflix speed. When a bank makes us wait because their server is dusty, we lose trust.
It really is a trust issue. If you can't handle my simple phone call, how can I trust you with my mortgage?
Exactly. So, to synthesize this first part, we have a bottleneck. The very technology that was supposed to help service has aged to the point where it's now the primary obstacle to service.
Okay, so that's the gloom and doom. We've established the decade-old problem. It's slow, expensive, and makes everyone miserable. So now let's pivot to the solution. The source introduces this thing called Access Connect by Access Softdeck. And the phrase they use, and I love a bold claim, is that it changes the game.
It is a bold claim, but when you look at the architecture, it holds up.
So how does it fix the DVD collection problem we just talked about? The source calls Access Connect a cloud-native platform. Now, wait a minute. Cloud is such a buzzword. Is there really a difference between cloud-native and just, taking the old software and putting it on a server somewhere else?
That is the million-dollar question. And yes, there is a massive difference. What you just described, taking old software and hosting it remotely, that's called lift and shift. It's like taking that old DVD player and just moving it to a different house. It's still an old, clunky DVD player.
Okay, so what is cloud native?
Cloud native means the software was built for the cloud from day one. It's built using microservices. It's modular. It's designed to be updated constantly, little by little, without ever shutting down.
So, back to our analogy, this is Netflix.
This is Netflix. When Netflix updates its interface, you don't have to install anything, right? You just open the app and it's just there.
Right.
That is what Access Connect brings to the credit union.
The source also uses 3 adjectives: modern, flexible, and secure. Let's break those down. We talked about rigid. How does flexible actually look in practice?
Okay, let's go back to that fraud scenario. Saturday morning, a phishing scam hits. With a flexible, cloud-native system like Access Connect, the manager can log into a web portal from their laptop at home. They can use a drag and drop tool to add a high priority message to the phone tree. Press 1 if you received a weird text about your card.
And that goes live instantly.
Instantly. No IT ticket, no server reboot. That is flexibility. It allows the institution to react to the world in real time.
Wow, okay. What about secure? I feel like cloud scares some people. They think if it's out there on the internet, can't anyone hack it?
That's a common fear, but the reality is pretty much the opposite. I mean, who do you think has better security? A local credit union with a 3-person IT team trying to patch a server in the basement, or a dedicated cloud provider like Access Softtech, whose entire business model depends on bank-grade security?
Put that way, it's obvious. It's like keeping cash under your mattress versus in a vault.
Exactly. Cloud-native security is constantly evolving. On-premise security is only as good as the last patch you remember to install.
Okay, now the big one, the integration piece. We talked about the silos. The source says Access Connect integrates seamlessly with your core system. How does that fix the swivel chair problem?
This is where we talk about the screen pop.
Green pop. Sounds like a soda.
It's an industry term. It means that when you call and authenticate yourself, put in your PIN in or whatever Access Connect reaches into the core via an API.
An API is like a digital bridge.
Yes, a secure digital handshake. It pulls your member profile and pops it onto the agent's screen before they even answer the call.
So no more, what is your account number?
No more. The agent answers the phone and says, "Hi, I see you're calling. Are you calling about the overdraft on your checking account from this morning?"
Whoa. That changes the entire energy of the call.
It completely reframes it. Instead of an interrogation, "Who are you?" "Prove it." It becomes a consultation. "I see the problem. Let's fix it." It just removes all that friction.
Which brings us to the strategic shift. This is the part where we ask, okay, the tech is cool, but how does this change the actual day-to-day work? The source outlines a two-pronged approach that Access Connect enables. It splits the work into self-service and high-value conversations.
And this is the most critical part of the analysis. It's not just a software upgrade, it's a workflow revolution.
But I have to ask, when I hear self-service, I hear do it yourself because we don't want to hire people to talk to you. Is this just a way to cut costs?
That's the cynic's view, and it's a valid concern. But if you look at the data, most people don't want to call someone for a simple balance check. It just takes too long. They want the answer now.
That's true. If I just want to know if a check cleared, I don't want 5 minutes of small talk.
Right. Access Connect lets members complete those routine tasks, balance checks, transfers, maybe even a PIN reset quickly, through an automated system. It respects their time. It's not about avoiding them. It's about serving them faster for the simple stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So if the robots are handling the easy tasks, what are the humans doing? The source says this directs staff to focus on the conversations that matter most.
This is the high-value bucket. This is where the cultural shift happens. If a staff member isn't spending 6 hours a day resetting passwords, they have the mental bandwidth to handle the complex, emotional, high-stakes issues.
Give me an example. What's a conversation that matters in banking?
A denied mortgage application for a first-time homebuyer, a frantic call from someone who thinks their identity has been stolen, a widow trying to figure out how to access her late husband's accounts.
Ooh, yeah, those are heavy.
Those are moments of high anxiety. You do not want a chatbot for that. You want empathy. You want nuance. You want a human who isn't burned out from resetting 50 PNs that morning.
That's a really powerful distinction. So by automating the routine, the institution isn't removing humans, it's saving the humans for when they're actually truly needed.
It allows the humans to be more human.
I love that concept. It's sort of the automation paradox.
It is. If the agent gets that screen pop, they see the context. They see, oh, this person has been a member for 20 years and they just had a massive, unusual withdrawal. They can enter that conversation with intelligence. They become partners, not just data entry clerks.
It fundamentally changes the job description.
It moves them from being processors to being advisors. And frankly, for credit unions, that is their competitive advantage. They can't compete with the mega banks on marketing budgets. But they can compete on relationship. They can compete on we actually care. But they can only do that if their technology gets out of the way.
It's so interesting. We started this whole thing talking about servers and APIs, and we ended up talking about empathy and relationships.
That's the reality of modern service. Technology is never just neutral. It either enables connection or it blocks it. The old on-premise stack was a wall. Access Connect is trying to be a bridge.
So let's bring this all together. We started with the headache of the decade-old, rigid on-premise systems. We looked at Access Connect as the cloud-native, flexible solution. And we landed on this strategic split. Let members serve themselves for speed, and let the staff serve the members for value.
It's a complete transformation of the service model. It turns the call center from a cost center, a place where problems go die, into a value generator.
So here's where it gets really interesting. We've talked about how this fixes the problems of the past.
Yeah.
But I want to leave you, the listener, with a provocative thought about the future.
Sure.
We've celebrated this idea of conversations that matter most. We've said it's great that staff only handle the complex stuff, but I wonder
I think I know where you're going with this.
if technology like Access Connect handles all the logistics, all the easy stuff, all the low-hanging fruit, that means every single time a human picks up the phone, it's going to be for a difficult, complex, or emotional problem.
That's a profound shift in the workplace environment.
Right. There are no more breather calls, no more easy password resets to break up the day. Every interaction is high stakes. Every interaction requires high emotional intelligence. So the question is, as we deploy these amazing tools, are we ready for what that demands of the people working there?
That's the challenge for the next decade, really. If the machine handles the logistics, the human must master the empathy. The skill set required to work in a credit union is going to shift dramatically toward, I don't know, social work, psychology, complex problem solving. We're raising the bar for what it means to be a service provider.
It's a fascinating world to think about. A world where all the boring stuff is invisible and the visible stuff is deeply, intensely human.
And hopefully, thanks to tools like Access Connect, a little less frustrating for everyone involved.
Amen to that. A huge thank you to Access Softtech for powering this deep dive.
Yep.
And thank you to you, the learner, for sticking with us. Next time you call your bank and get a quick answer, you'll know exactly what's happening or what should be happening behind the curtain.
Until next time.
Keep learning.